happy Halloween and welcome to The Organized Cook. If you're a subscriber to The Organized Cook, then you're enjoying our spectacular weekly meal plan this week. Tonight, I'm going to show you how to make dinner in a pumpkin. If you're looking for something festive and fun and easy to make, this is the recipe for you. This recipe actually came to me from my friend and business partner, Noelle Rodriguez, who this dinner in a pumpkin has been a family tradition for her for many years. So thank you, Terry Rodriguez. And now I'm going to show you how to make this fabulous recipe. First, obviously, you want to scoop out a pumpkin. So you get a pumpkin, scoop out all the seeds, just like if you were going to make a jack-o'-lantern, but just take off the lid. So we have a nice hollowed out pumpkin here, and I've turned my oven on 350 degrees. So the first thing that we're going to do is brown some beef. The ingredients in dinner in a pumpkin consist of mushrooms, fresh mushrooms, ground beef, water chestnuts, brown sugar, soy sauce, ginger, and a cream of mushroom soup. And what we do, we're going to mix all these ingredients, cook the ingredients, mix them together, and bake them in the pumpkin. So I turned my oil, my pan on medium-high, just a few tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm going to throw my ground beef in and start it to brown. And I'll season it with just a little bit of salt while we're doing that as well. Now back to my meal plan. If you are not a subscriber to The Organized Cook and want this week's spectacular weekly meal plan, feel free to check out the website at organizedcook.com or tonispilsbury.com, and I'll talk more about those recipes. I start out the spectacular week with a white bean turkey spinach chili, and the reason I like to make chili on Halloween is because it's something that I can just keep in the slow cooker on warm and have it just ready out with some bowls and garnishes for guests to just help themselves and family whenever they want. So we're not on a strict schedule. So as I'm browning the beef, I'm just going to season it with just a little bit of salt, maybe even some pepper. So after this cooks in the pumpkin and you scoop it out into some bowls to eat, you're going to scoop out some of that pumpkin meat as well. And the pumpkin meat is going to be eaten with this beef mixture that we're going to bake in it. And it's actually super delicious. And what I've done is I've taken an onion, I've taken about half an onion and minced it. I like to get my onion chopped really fine and minced. You can even use a food processor because my children really don't like to get an onion piece, so I make sure that it's chopped really fine. And as far as this meat browner, if you don't have one of these, I use mine all the time. If you don't have one, you can actually find them on my website at tonispilsbury.com. I love it, so I actually put it up under my favorite things category, and you can order it directly off the website. Okay, now that our beef is starting to brown, I'm going to go ahead, it's almost brown, I'm going to go ahead and add the onion so it can cook with it. We want to cook this until the onion becomes translucent. Just stir it in there. Get a spoon, start to mix it around. Now, while this mixture is cooking in the pumpkin in the oven, the pumpkin will actually put off a lot of juices as well. So we want to make sure to drain off the excess oil, which I'm going to do here in a minute, because otherwise it'll become too soupy inside, and we don't want that. We want the consistency of a casserole. Oh, if I didn't mention also, we actually mix the beef mixture with rice. So I've already cooked 2 cups of rice that will end up cooking with our mixing with our 2 cups of beef. Okay, now that this is mostly brown, a little pinkish, which is fine because it's going to bake for an hour in the oven in the pumpkin, I'm going to go ahead and drain off some of this grease. I'll be right back. Okay, now that we have most of our oil, our excess oil drained from the beef, excess grease drained from there, I'm going to go ahead and add our brown sugar, our soy sauce, ginger, and cream of mushroom soup. So we're going to do about 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Doesn't have to be packed. About 3 tablespoons of soy sauce and a teaspoon of ginger. Let's see, my half teaspoon fits well in there, so I'll do 2 of those. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and mix in our cream of mushroom soup. Okay, we'll get that all mixed in. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and mix in our mushrooms. And the reason I didn't saute the mushrooms in the beginning is because this will go ahead, they'll bake in the pumpkin in the mixture and they'll become nice and tender in the pumpkin. So mix in the mushrooms. These look good. Just going to loosely mix it in. And our last ingredient before the rice is some eye of newt. And if you don't have eye of newt, you can use water chestnuts. So we put the water chestnuts in, mix them. Yum. Now our beef mixture is ready to be mixed with our rice mixture. And since I used the recipe that I put online calls for 1.5 to 2 pounds of ground beef. And if you use 1.5 pounds, use 1.5 cups of cooked rice. And 2 pounds of ground beef, use 2 cups of cooked rice. So this is about 2 cups of cooked rice here. So I'm going to go ahead and mix it in. I actually can turn this off because we don't need it to cook any further. Scoop this all in here. Perfect. I'm just going to loosely mix it around. I have to change spoons here. And then I'm going to transfer it then into our pumpkin. Get out one of my big spoons. Before I transfer it into the pumpkin, I'm going to go ahead and transfer my pumpkin onto a baking sheet. And once we get it in here, this is going to cook for about an hour. And just think, you don't have to clean any serving bowls once you're done. You just toss the pumpkin, whatever's not eaten. And I used 1 medium-sized pumpkin here, but you can also use 2 smaller individual pumpkins, or you can even do 4 or 5 of the really tiny ones that are really individual servings of this mixture, and everyone can have their own pumpkin. Or you can serve it out of 1 medium-sized pumpkin, casserole style, where they just scoop it out and help themselves. That turned out to be, this pumpkin turned out to be the exact perfect size that I needed for this recipe. Yeah. Okay, now I'm just going to take a paper towel and clean out off the outside of my pumpkin, so it looks pretty. And then I'll replace the lid. And Terry's last bit of advice to me was to carve a notch in the lid, so I know exactly how to put it on. And then we'll bake this for about an hour. You might want to check on it after 45 minutes, but it'll take between 45 minutes and an hour on 350. Okay, now it's time to check the oven and check our dinner in a pumpkin. It's done and it looks beautiful. Perfect. The consistency is just like a casserole, so I'm going to go ahead and scoop some out. And if you get some pumpkin with it, that's perfect. The pumpkin tastes delicious with this. Perfect. Okay, now for this recipe, for dinner and a pumpkin recipe, just go to tonispilsbury.com and you can type in pumpkin on the search line or just look on our main page. Happy Halloween, everyone. And if you want to check out more videos for how to make our candy apple pork chop or a spectacular punch, just check online at tonispilsbury.com.
I said spooky.